And we're live.
All right, typing the message in Discord so people can join.
Yep, yep. So whoever maybe already joined, we joined a little bit early to kind of like say some summary words before everything stops and do the countdown. Absolutely. It's part of the fun. Um,
Yes.
okay, so
All
hopefully now
right.
people will join. We'll see that and join. So hello, everyone. We just joined a couple of minutes earlier to kind of like say a little bit of summary, words and do the countdown before the game ends.
We still
Very,
have 3 minutes, Itzik, but it, I mean, things could still change. The top three is not yet set in stone, right? We have
yeah,
Stuart
yeah,
Larson. He has his first place down. Nobody can kick him off the throne anymore. But right now, for Arthur and Faisuru, their hearts must be racing right now because who knows? Maybe somebody has the flag and is just waiting for the last second to submit it. Who knows what can happen here? That's all
yeah,
possible. I guess they are just hoping that nobody's gonna come in and submit that last flag. Um,
yeah. Exactly. So we are what 2.5 minutes away from game over. Um, do you have the time? I can't see it on my end.
the
Where's the
time
time?
is on the screen there. 2 minutes 18
Oh
seconds.
yes, it's on the screen. Yeah, sorry, I was looking elsewhere. Obviously. So 2 minutes 11 seconds. Great. So in
I
two
saw
minutes,
somebody in the chat ask if there will be write ups. So, once again, we will quickly discuss the challenges today. We won't cover the exact payloads. We'll discuss kind of what the idea was behind them and how you could solve them. But we invite you all to write write ups and post them on your blog, on your LinkedIn, on your Twitter, wherever you want. And then we will pick the best write ups and you can win some swag as well. So, there you can talk with other people and discuss the findings once this 1 minute and 37 seconds is over.
exactly. So yeah, a little bit more than 1 minute, like a minute and a half to go. Give it your best. You can still win. The sixth challenge, and you can actually change the picture if one of the five solutions down there get the sixth, they become second.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
I mean it's last minute thing can change everything.
Like,
So
I am sure that Arthur and Faisura are just manically refreshing the page continuously, praying that nothing goes wrong.
or
So
they're busy trying to solve the sixth, so we
that
don't know.
is also indeed a possibility. That is very much a possibility.
Yeah,
Wow, this has been an insane event. I think this is the first event where there's only been one person to have solved all challenges. That is a first. And I'm kind of glad that Stuart solved all challenges because that shows that the sixth challenge was definitely possible, just quite difficult. Which
yeah, it is quite difficult. It's crazy that he was able to solve it. I mean, we had an assumption that could be the first event where nobody solves the entire thing.
Yeah,
And this was a serious bet because we knew that the sixth challenge was really tricky, not very easy at all. It requires a little bit more than a typical challenge. So we have 13 minutes seconds, 10, 9,
nine,
8,
eight,
7,
seven, 6, 5, 4, 3,
2,
2,
1,
1,
and
0.
we are
Woo!
time is up. Time is
Oh,
up, guys. So right now the challenge is over. You shouldn't be able to submit any new solutions. I guess this was really crazy, a roller coaster of things happening here. You guys played very well. Robbie and I were pretty impressed by what people were able to do here, like especially the ones here on the top 10, being able to solve fairly quickly. Some of them, and obviously Stewart here, who made it to the first spot, made it for the first place, solving the sixth and amazing us because again we were saying, and if you just joined, I'll say it again. We had an assumption that this could be the first time that nobody solves the entire six challenges. So this is crazy, guys. You've done the impossible, or not impossible. Everything is possible, but especially this.
Yeah.
But really, really good game. I see here 41 people were able to solve something. I tell you exactly how many solutions submitted so far. 109 solutions, correct solutions submitted, and thousands of attempts. So really, really great game, guys.
Yeah,
Uh,
amazingly done. And I see in the chat Alex Lava, who I think is Alexander Lava, on fifth place on the scoreboard. He said, "Challenge 6 was crazy indeed." But I think all of these challenges were quite crazy. Definitely for people with different skill levels. So
mhm.
anybody who is able to solve anything here did really well. And I see Mustafa in the chat saying that he couldn't even solve the first one. It happens, Mustafa. Take this as a learning opportunity. Definitely ask in the Discord chat if people want to share their solutions. And then this is just a great learning opportunity for you.
Right. I mean, don't think you're dumb. Okay. So here's the thing. If your brain is not, and that's the point we're trying to make, guys. That's something we really believe in Wizer. Okay. You know, there's a big gap between being smart developer and being able to solve things and build things and take a spec and build it very nicely with even efficient and correct best practice code, and being able to find a bunch of cracks. Okay. And that is exactly the spotlight we're putting here to show that there's a gap and to help the teams close that gap. So if you're not able to even solve the first one, no problem at all. Here's what I recommend. Every 2 weeks, twice a month, we're releasing another challenge. Some of them are really simple. Some of them are a little bit more complex. We're not getting anywhere close to 5 and 6 here. Okay. We're like doing pretty much 1 to 3 peppers on a regular basis on Wizer, the public and private. And if you go and start practicing over there on wizerctf.com, get yourself a user there. It's a different user base, so don't confuse the two. This is the event, and we have the regular kind of like bi-weekly challenges. Go there, create yourself a user, and start practicing twice a month. You're gonna get 24 a year, and I'm sure that if you do it enough times, you'll get to those events and you'll solve at least 3 or 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, typically the 5, 6 are way more complex and exactly there to kind of like capture the people who are really, really experienced and have crazy experience. But 1 through 3, 1 through 4, you should be able to solve over time.
Yeah, with enough training. I want to do a little quick poll in the chat. Who here wants us to discuss some of the challenges that we've seen today? Who here wants to see or hear what the ideas behind these challenges were? So please write in the chat if that is the case and for what challenge you want that to happen. I see Robert Verwillige is saying me, so clearly there's some people who want to discuss the challenges. But before we do that, I think it is only fair if we give a little round of applause to the podium and we go from the third place to the first place, and we kind of give them a round of applause and also tell them what their prize is going to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the great Stuart was able to solve the entire 6. He's the only person who was able to solve the entire 6 within 4 hours, quite amazingly. So, Stuart, you're the first. Then Arthur solved first the 5 challenges, wasn't able to get to the 6th one, but was able to fairly quickly, again, before even like the second touch point, was able to close the 5th one. And then Faisuru was able to close the 5 as well. So, and the first from the rest. And then those are the 3 people here who were able to solve the 3 first spots. So a round of applause to all of you guys. I guess this is really amazing. We had, like, Robbie and I talked. We had bets like how many people will really solve and so forth. You amazed us, truly.
Yeah, for sure. I did not think that so many brilliant people were gonna solve so many challenges. So that is awesome to hear. Meanwhile, Itzik, the chat has been blown up. I have people that want to see challenge 3, challenge 5, challenge 4. So there's a lot of people that want to kind of talk through these challenges, and I'm sure that Mustafa also wants to know the solution to challenge one. So
Absolutely. So here's what we'll do. I think what we should do, and that's what I think, like we in 24 to 48 hours, I'm going to reopen the game for practice. And I want you guys to still have the challenge of solving it. So we're not going to give you the payloads. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to walk you through the thought process, and you guys will have to figure out how to, craft the payload that works. Okay. So I'm going to do one, two, three. Let's start with the first one. The first one is company's API. There's an endpoint here, goes to MongoDB. If you already know the drill, you can see that maybe there is a NoSQL injection here. Okay. You can see that there's a NoSQL injection here. The developer did make an attempt to go and validate a bunch of things. So you probably went to the documentations and listed a bunch of things that seemed dangerous. Okay. In addition, okay, he actually looked for characters and signs that felt like they're going to be very problematic if they're available in the payload or in the query. So everything like that was removed, so it's invalid. No query like that was ran. However, I can tell you that there was a miss here. Okay, and the miss here, and we're going to tell you that now here, is that regex is still available. There's $regex where it's not included here, and probably the developer forgot about it or didn't think it could be very dangerous. And if you use regex, there are a bunch of regular expressions that could work here. You need to find them. Okay, so once you find them, you should be able to get the list of companies. Did I miss anything, Robbie?
no, I think it really was that. This is something we classically see where there's a blacklist that's not fully complete. And in this case, I think even if you send the regex operator in MongoDB without any data, so just an empty string, it would still work. It would still consider it to be valid. So,
yeah, but I removed it. So I remember you said that. So I added this. So
okay.
This is not possible here. So, but there are other
yes.
ones.
So yeah, I found like kind of a simple solution to the challenge. It's added a new blacklist rule, but it's impossible to make full blacklists, exactly. Which is why you need a whitelist. So that
there
that
are
just
multiple
proves that
ones.
point.
Exactly. Yeah. You look at your 35 correct solutions. I'm probably going to find things that I didn't know about, right? Because it's very, very hard to block everything. Blacklists are not a good idea. Okay.
Yeah.
And even if you think like I covered everything, what can they do? They can't. I mean, there's a lot of bypasses to so many things. So this one was the simplest one. However, still challenging for some. And that's fine that it was challenging because you have to think about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the second one. The second one, okay, is getting the profile name here. So what's happening here is there's some profile object, okay, and there's an endpoint here that to get the profile, the username, the name from the profile, okay. So what it does, is it's using a method that is generically used for two purposes, okay. One, and what we need to do is we need to get the key of the username JDO, okay? So, just by looking at that, okay, I'm going to look at profile internal. There's a perfect documentation here that explains what it does, okay? This function is used to retrieve profile information in two possible ways. One, when provided an array of names, it's available only in admin mode, so it's created for admin mode. Somebody else is using it. It retrieves the profile information and names listed, including the keys. But we don't have access to it because we're providing only one name, and I'll explain how it's done. When provided a single name, it retrieves the profile name only unless a valid key is provided, in which case the full profile is returned as well. So we don't have the key, right? So what we provide, if we're looking at this one, we're looking here at the request. We're getting a query variable, okay, that is named query, okay? And here we get the username, okay? So once I go to internal, to profile internal, I send the username, and the key. Okay, if the key is empty, then it's not valid. Then I can't request anything, or I'm not gonna get the key. So the only thing we have is the username. Hence, it's not an array. Hence, we're getting only one value. However, there is something that is called hypertext HTTP parameters pollution, where someone can, in this case, provide multiple values. And by providing a multiple values, you practically create an array. So that is the solution here. Try it out. Try to put together a payload that works.
Cool.
Anything
Yeah,
I
and this
missed?
one, I think this is also the idea of having like a function that can be called from different privilege levels and that then does different things, or it kind of stems from the idea of you have one function that tries to do two things at once. And this is something you see with even very popular exploits like the JSON Web Token algorithm confusion. Also kind of comes down to this one ID where you have one decode function that accepts the symmetric and asymmetric encryption variants. And that just when you start mixing and matching those up, it breaks stuff. Like it is always a bad idea to have one function that tries to do two things at once.
Exactly.
Yet a lot of developers write this way because it makes things simpler. Because I mean, it's almost the same behavior, so why not put it together?
Exactly. It's separation of concerns, but also looking at the function, determining what to do based on whether the variable is an array or not is a bad practice. It's coding. It's best coding practice, but some coders can say, you know what? I know that the admin is always sending an array. I know that this function always sends a single one. Hey, let's combine them. Let's do that. Developers think about this shortcuts. That's why they're builders. They think about how to build it. They don't think about what exploits could happen because of that. So this is a bad practice. What you should do is you should completely either separate them. But even if you want to create a function that does multiple things, be very clear. Send the argument that tells you that you need to do this. So it's maybe another overload, right? But not keep it on the same place.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now the third one. So we had in the chat TK really wanted an answer on the third one. He said that he got the injection, but he didn't know what methods to use to read files.
Right. So there's a reason why this one is 3 peppers, because it's a little tricky and it requires 2 things. You need to do 2 things or think about 2 things in order to hack it. So the first thing we said on our previous touch point, we said there's an EJS. EJS has some vulnerabilities. Go read about them. So let me tell you, with EJS, okay, you can, and since we're providing in this method, we're providing, here, where is it? Render. In the render, since we're providing the data and the JSON of configuration, there is a way to add a configuration of the delimiter. Once you do that, you can change the delimiter. This validation here fails to do its job, because what does it do? It looks for the smaller than %, and if it doesn't find it, it just, it doesn't try to find those variables. So if you change the delimiter, the whole thing here is invalid. However, it's not enough, because what you're looking for, you don't know even where the flag is. But let me tell you, most hackers, just like Robbie said last time, the first thing you try to do is you try to get access to your environment variables. That's where a lot of secrets exist. That's where a lot of the stuff exists. You want to go there. You want to see that. If you have access to that, you potentially have access to a ton of other things. Okay, so that's not surprisingly where the flag hides. Okay, so you need to find it there. However, okay, it's not very easy to find it there because of another reason. The developer here has done an additional thing and actually excluded a bunch of important keywords. Not excluded, but if they're included, threw us out. So even if you try to use A to B, where you kind of like encode your payload to be base 64 or something like that, not very easy to get that. Okay, and one of the words here that does a lot of that makes a lot of issues to me is that this word is excluded, right? So I can't go to the process even, okay, and do all sorts of crazy things, okay? So there's a way to bypass that, and I'm struggling whether I should say that or not. What do you say?
I think you can lift the tip of the solution and leave the rest uncovered. So
Right.
give like a
Think about how you bypass, something that checks for a full word. Okay, I went far. So
yeah,
if you want to bypass process, think about, can I maybe do something that it's not a full word? Okay.
exactly.
Okay, so that is the third one. Do you see other chat things? Because I missed here a couple of things.
No, somebody said that they solved three, but they overlooked the flag and lost like 10 minutes. So I guess yeah, that is life.
Yeah,
Somebody said they were able to get an RCE on number three, but they couldn't find a usable import.
yeah.
So I wonder if they got an RCE then.
So
Well,
they got an
let's
RC,
see.
but they weren't able to probably execute because it checks for these.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the intention, is like, just in case, and that's what I added a comment here. Make sure there's no other dangerous words just in case, because again, as a developer, I'm not sure it's even possible to get that, but obviously it does. And I removed a bunch of dangerous words so that it's going to be very hard for you to get. But again, it's not very hard. Okay, it is definitely possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Okay, cool. Cool challenge. I like that challenge a lot.
Absolutely. So here is the fourth one, and I gave the
Yes.
floor to you, Robbie. Let me know if
So
you want to scroll down.
challenge four, yeah, perfect, perfect. Challenge four is Pirate Auth. Pirate Auth is an authentication system especially made for pirates, and you will see that the app looks pretty cool. So maybe you can quickly open that if possible. Um, you can see what by the code that all of the code is kind of also made in pirate style. So you have like your whole pirate's authentication, and you need to log in, and that's kind of what this whole challenge is. It's just a login. It's just a potential authentication failure point that you have to identify. So in the code, it's pretty simple. We just set up an Express app, and the code really only has one main endpoint. So if you scroll down, the one endpoint is the login endpoint, and the login endpoint takes in your name and then your password, which is called a secret code here. But obviously, you don't have any name or any secret code that you know, so you cannot use anything there. However, on line 34 there, it's going to check if you have a rank set. And if you don't have a rank set, it's going to call the swap deck function. And the swap deck function is just a renamed function from object-assign. So object-assign is going to take two objects, and it's going to assign the second object into the first. Mm-hmm. And that may seem kind of, bland, sure, that's clear, but in JavaScript, when you assign an object to another object, something interesting happens when there's a prototype added to that second object. So if in your body, so in your JSON body, you add a __ proto __, then it's just going to be a key with a value. It's not going to be parsed as a prototype itself. However, when you do this assigning of your body to the rank Buccaneer, then all of a sudden that does get parsed, and all of a sudden you do have a valid prototype pollution. But that wasn't all that you needed. And that's because above there's some check on line 29, I think, that your secret the name has to be a name that exists, and the secret code cannot be equal to the right secret code. But then if you scroll down below, there's another check, and the check down below checks that your rank is not the right rank. And then below that, I think there's another check that says if your name exists and you have a code. But previously, you couldn't have the right code because, of course, you don't know the right code. But at this point, you need to have a valid code. And those two things, they are really hard to match together. So you need to make sure that this prototype pollution kind of messes with the objects in the perfect way that at the beginning you have a secret code that doesn't exist, and at the end you then have a code that does exist. And that's kind of the whole challenge here, is to mix and match with that prototype solution and kind of fight with these objects to get the exact stuff. And it's quite technical deep down in Node. I heard from a lot of great hackers that this was a pretty difficult challenge, and I'm happy to hear that, because that's the way I intended it. But it's a really cool one, and you have to play around with it. I find it the easiest way to solve this is to run the code locally and to add lots of debug points. So at every point, you know exactly why your payload is working and isn't working. I think the biggest challenge here is if you try to just run it on the remote server without seeing any debug, you have no idea why your payloads aren't working. But if you can really log exactly what's happening with your objects, then it becomes a lot easier.
That's great. That's great. I really enjoyed this one. Let's move on to, unless there are questions that you see. If not, we can move to the fifth.
No, Alex just says __proto _hell ___, which I think sums that up pretty nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
All right.
So the fifth one.
The fifth one, yeah. This challenge I am deeply saddened about, because everybody solved it through an unintended solution that I did not come up with myself. The real solution was much harder. So I invite everybody to go and search for the real solution. I also won't talk about the real solution now, because that's, still a mystery at this point for you guys. So feel free to hunt for the real solution. It's pretty cool. But this challenge was interesting. You have a front end written in Angular and the back end here in Node. And the server kind of allows you to travel between certain locations, as you can see there. And there's also one endpoint all the way at the bottom for you to report problems to the administrator. And the goal is to kind of hack the administrator. Now below that endpoint, yes, API report problem. Yep. Right? So, and this is something that is a popular kind of thing. You want to exploit the administrators of websites, and usually that's done through like a CSRF or through a cross-site scripting. But in this case, those are both not possible. Cross-site scripting is not possible because this is, a modern front-end framework, Angular, and XSS is pretty difficult to happen in Angular unless you specifically start to use unsafe functions, which are clearly marked as unsafe. And CSRF is also not possible in this case. So you need to find another way to attack the admin here. You send a URL, and sadly, the solution that bypasses all of the checks here is if you send the admin a URL and then you rewrite the host header to the right host header that it expects, then you can kind of beat the whole system and still read the local storage from the web page and steal the flag. In this case, sadly, that was the unintended solution. But there's a lot more code here that is interesting, and it all has to do with the intended solution. But I feel like keeping that a secret for now. But if you think that you have the intended solution, feel free to message me and I'll tell you if you did it the intended way or not, because perhaps there's even more unintended solutions. But yeah, I'm deeply saddened that an unintended solution was found. Luckily, only 9 people found it, so that's pretty decent still, at least. But now I can kind of also reuse this idea of this challenge for perhaps another challenge that's even harder. So that's the fun for me.
Absolutely. So let's go to the most complicated one, which
yes,
only one person was able to solve.
With one solve, indeed. So this challenge, before I start talking about the codes, this challenge was fully based on a vulnerability found in ChatGPT, in Copilot, in Bing's AI agent. It was pretty much found in almost all of the chatbot AIs. This vulnerability was found. And I tried to recreate it in a bit of an easier way and make it make a cool showcase of that vulnerability. So what we have is a secret chat application where all of your chats are very much encrypted by Morse code. So that's why you see the whole Morse code map there. and this uses WebSockets. So if you scroll down a little bit, a little bit more. Yes, there you see that, it sets up a WebSocket connection. It's going to take in your message. It's then eventually going to convert it into Morse code and then send the Morse code over over the web to the server, and then the client will just show the Morse code message in this chat. But something peculiar about it is that it sends every Morse code character as a separate WebSocket package. Now, something else, and if you scroll down to the code, even all the way to the bottom, I think, is that there you see it's the feds here, and we've been able to we've been having a man in the middle connection, and apparently the police are onto this chat room, and they have gotten some man in the middle data, so a man in the middle PCAP file of a message that was sent using this application. But if you're going to be able to look at that PCAP file, it's all over HTTPS, so it's all TLS or encrypted, which means that really you cannot see any of the contents of that message. And if you have a bypass for TLS, then I'm pretty sure you won't use it for this CTF, but you will sell it for a lot of money, I guess. So, you cannot bypass TLS in that way. However, because these characters, these Morse code characters, are sent over single WebSocket messages, that means that every single Morse code character that's sent is sent over the web as a separate TLS package. Now, if you look at the size of those TLS packages, you will see that if you send a Morse code message of 1 character or a Morse code message of 2 characters, the difference in the length of those encrypted packets, it's also going to be 1 byte, because there's not proper padding there. It's just literally the encrypted text of what you're sending. So the difference is also going to be 1 byte. And from that, you can determine that a person first sent a single byte message, then a 2 byte message, then a 3 byte message, and then okay, that means that they sent 3 letters, where the first one in Morse code is only 1 character, the second one in Morse code is 2 characters, and the third one in Morse code is 3 characters. So then you can kind of reverse engineer and see, okay, for 1 character, there's only 2 options in Morse code, so it's either an E or an whatever the dash is in Morse code. Mm-hmm. But for 2 characters, there's more options, and so on. But from all of these lengths, you can build together back a map of potential words that can happen, and then you can solve it in 2 ways. Either you manually go through all the words that are possible and you try to construct sentences, or what the team did that found the vulnerability in ChatGPT is they actually built an AI to reverse the different length of words back into real sentences. And that would have also been possible here. But by listening to the TLS lengths of the messages, you can actually get a lot of information about the message that's being sent over this code. So in this code itself, there is not really a vulnerability. This code is secure, but the issue is that TLS kind of shows a lot of nitty-gritty details that you need to be aware of, and this was actually possible in ChatGPT, in Copilot, in all of those big AI agents. This was possible, and people could have been listening to your messages over the network, which is really, really cool. So yeah, that was the 6th challenge.
Super cool, super interesting, and pretty hard to get that solution. And kudos to Stuart, who was able to really get it done. Not easy at all.
For sure, not easy. No.
Okay. So yeah. So again, we're almost about to break. I'm wondering if there are any other questions or thoughts here in the chat. You can start posting here if you have any questions. We had a lot of fun, both Robbie and I, and Robbie speaks for himself, but I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the event, enjoyed the talent that I'm seeing here, and was pretty amazed by what you were able to do. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, 100%. This was so cool. I think there's a lot of talented people in this world. Um, and I once again want to congratulate Stuart on winning it, and your prize will be, correct me if I'm wrong, 600 USD. So
Mhm.
congratulations,
Yep.
Arthur, for getting the second place. He will be getting 300 USD, and Faisuru 100 USD for getting the third place. So a
Right.
huge congratulations to you guys. You've well deserved that prize. So
Absolutely,
yeah, go
absolutely.
enjoy it.
Our marketing team is going to reach out to you. We have your email address, so we're going to reach out to you and coordinate that. The prize thingy, and also to mention that now within the next 2 weeks, we're eager to get your kind of like outputs in the form of write-ups or write-ups that not without even a solution, your thoughts and thought process, or videos, which was pretty cool to get last time. So if you guys want to take a video of how you were able to solve it, it's pretty cool to see that. So if you want to do that, that's actually something we like. And we're going to give away swag for all of you who are, able to kind of like impress us with write-ups. And typically, most people get like again, if you sat down and wrote something of value, we're definitely gonna look at it, and most likely you're gonna get swag. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. And if there are no further questions or thoughts or requests, I guess until the next time, this was the just as a reminder, October is the cybersecurity month, and we wanted to do one for October. So we have on the 27th. Every few months we're doing it, trying to do it about 4 times a year. Sometimes it's three, but every few months we're gonna do it. So keep on monitoring that. Next time you're gonna get all of you who registered here are gonna get heads up for the next one. And within 2 days, I'm going to reopen the platform for I'm going to reopen the platform to allow you guys to continue to play. So if you want to kind of like whatever we kind of like reviewed now, if you want to try it on your own or try to find a real solution of challenge 5 or try to solve more that you haven't succeeded on solving before, now that you have some more ideas, just play with it. It's going to be practice mode right now. Within again 24 to 48 hours from now, I'm going to reopen it and work on the write-ups. And let us know if you have ideas, or if you want to kind of like contribute ideas and so forth. We'll be happy to collaborate with you guys.
Yeah, and any feedback is always welcome. Just send us a message on Discord. We're happy to discuss, so that the next event, it can be even better, bigger and better than this one. So yeah, we just want to make these events as enjoyable for everybody involved, for the huge hacker community, for the huge developer community as well. So yeah, always happy to hear your ideas as well.
Exactly. So really fun playing with you guys. Have a great evening. Most of you evening, right? Late afternoons and evenings, and yeah, and kind of like let's keep in touch through Discord.
For sure. Take care,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Take
See
care.
you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.